The DNA molecule is a double helix consisting of two major segmented strands that spiral clockwise.
All right, let's see it.
These strands are connected by sulfur bridges like the rungs in a ladder.
Gonna stop you right there. There is no such thing as a sulfur bridge in DNA. The nucleotides are connected by hydrogen bonds, and there are no sulfur bridges anywhere. That's entirely made up.
These bridges are not evenly spaced along the molecule, but they do have a specific pattern. There's a bridge, then 10 segments later there's another one, then 5 segments later another, followed by 6 segments and another, then 5 segments, there's another bridge.
So because there is no such thing as a sulfur or a sulfuric bridge in the DNA molecule, there is no such segmentation either.
This 10-5-6-5 pattern is then repeated over and over again for the entire length of the molecule.
So even if this pattern of segmentation existed, which it does not, I am curious about why we start with the 10, because if it just repeated infinitely, then it's totally arbitrary where we decide to start this repeating pattern and where we decide to end this repeating pattern.
This is particularly interesting when viewed with the Hebrew language. In Hebrew, the letters correspond to numbers, since there are no distinct numbers like we have in English. In Hebrew, the number 10 is the letter Yod, or Y. The number 5 is the letter He, or H, and the number 6 is the letter Vav, or W. Therefore, the pattern that is found in the DNA is Yod, He, Vav, He. That is the way the Hebrews wrote or spelled the name God revealed himself with. So God's very name is found repeatedly in the structure of the DNA molecule. In other words, every DNA molecule in every living organism bears the imprint of the name of Yahweh, the God of the Bible.
So the numerical values are accurate, and the fact that that is the Tetragrammaton, the divine name, is accurate. But again, none of this has any actual relationship whatsoever to anything within the structure of DNA.
But there's more.
All right, let's see that too.
Like the Egyptian hieroglyphic language, Hebrew is a pictorial language. The letters represent images or concepts.
No, it absolutely does not. Now, centuries after the Bible was written, there were some mystical strands of Jewish tradition that began to import a lot of mystical significance into the characters and what they believed they truly represented in order to be able to read a lot more mystical significance into the text and renegotiate its meaning. But that is something that developed centuries after the Hebrew Bible was written. Now, Hebrew has always been based on an alphabetic script. Now, that script descends from Egyptian hieroglyphs that had a more ideographic and syllabic function, but by the time Hebrew gets a hold of it, it had become purely acrophonic. What that means is that each character just represents or indexes or symbolizes a sound. Now, the sound that it symbolizes is the sound that starts the word that the character looks like. So the Hebrew character bait it descends from a specific depiction of a house, because in Northwest Semitic languages, the word for house was bait. And so the bait indexes the sound b. It does not import in every single usage or in any usage the entire concept of the house or anything associated with the concept of a house. It just indexes the sound b. It was based on a drawing of a house, but it just indicates this is the sound b.
Specifically, the Yod or Y represents behold, the H or He represents a hand.
So it sounds like this creator has mixed up the Yod and the He. It is the Yod that descends from a pictograph of an arm and a hand. The He descends from a pictograph of a person with upraised arms. And when it was ideographic, the He, or the pictograph of the person with the upraised arms, represented an interjection of despair or of joy or of immediacy, like ha, oh, hey, something like that. It didn't specifically mean behold, but additionally, by the time it gets into Hebrew, it just represented the sounds those words started with. So Yod was a Y consonant and He was an H consonant.
and the Vav or W represents a nail.
So the Vav descended from hieroglyphs that represented either a mace or maybe a hook that you would hang curtains on. It definitely didn't specifically refer to a nail, and by the time it gets into Hebrew, it indexed a sound, usually a w, but perhaps sometimes a v sound, or it could be used to represent a u quality vowel.
Combining all of this information, what we can say categorically is that every DNA molecule proclaims the name of God, but also identifies who that God is. It is saying, "Behold the nails in my hands."
It's not saying any such thing whatsoever. Even if we accepted those etymological origins for those characters, you would still need to rearrange the order. You would need to make something singular plural. You would need to add pronominal suffixes. You would need to create an entire grammatical structure out of what would be nonsensical combinations of words. But that's not what those characters mean, and Yod-He Vav-He is not found in the structure of DNA in any way, shape, or form whatsoever. This is all pure and utter nonsense.